Okay, Mom. Can you tell me the special story like of our family and the food that reminds you of that story?
Sure. When I was a kind of preteen, about 11 and 12, I had a best friend that I grew up with named Tina, and she had four sisters. I didn't have any sisters, I had three brothers. And my mom, or your grandma, was from Costa Rica, and they did tamales, but they did a different type of tamale. And your grandpa was from Kentucky, and they didn't do tamales. But at Tina's house, every year they did tamales. And about the age of 11 or 12, we got together and it was like an assembly line. And each member of her family, the sisters, would each do a certain component or part of the tamale making process. One would take care of the corn husk, one would take care of the masa, one would put the meat on the masa. In her family, they would put a piece of potato, they would put an olive, and then they would fold them, and then one would put it in the pot, and then they would begin to boil. So my job every year, along with Tina, my best friend, was to put the meat on the masa, and then Tina would then put the potato and then fold them up. And I loved the tradition. Every year I loved it. And so I knew it was something that I wanted to carry on in my family. I went to your grandma and I said, we've got to make tamales. And so she said, okay, we'll learn how to make tamales from Costa Rica. The difference between a Mexican tamale and a Costa Rican tamale is the Costa Rican tamale is sweeter and the masa is sweeter. And they do put meat, and sometimes they also put, like, sweet pineapple and raisins, and they wrap them in leaves instead of corn husk. But they're really, really, really delicious. And so it became a tradition in our house that every year we would make tamales, sometimes Costa Rican tamales, but more often the Mexican typical tamale. And then when I met your dad, when I started dating your dad, he came from a traditional Mexican family. And, your abuelita and your tia Alicia, they would make tamales. So I started joining in and helping them make tamales as well. And so I knew that, when your dad and I got married, that's a tradition that I wanted to carry on. So every year around this time, the holiday season, we make tamales, and we have tamales for family reunions, for the holidays, typically around Christmas time. And then we make them usually ahead of time and sometimes freeze them and then eat them, at different parts for New Year's sometimes. So it's a really great tradition that I love, and I'm hoping that you will carry on that tradition and, learn how to make tamales as well and have them for your family someday.
Roger that. Okay, yay!